Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I want to talk about high-end scouting and what to do at endgame when you have a good amount of things, if not all the things. So let's jump into it. So last week I did a double GAC where I was able to build Egnards' defense and then also coach him through his offense. I did make a plan for his complete plan as far as what I wanted to do for defense, what I wanted to do for offense. So it was he did have to play the battles because I just don't have access to his account, but we were able to do that live. So when he asked me to do this, I decided like, hey, this would be a fun thing because I personally only have 4 GLs. I now have 3 GL ships, but at the time I only had 2. So I haven't had the opportunity to play an account that was just like absolutely massive, had all the GLs, all the GL ships, and a good amount of things in it. So I took this as a good opportunity for me to kind of flex what I know and show what scouting at endgame is like. So with this opponent, I or with Egnard's account, as we can see, he has all the GLs. He doesn't have an R9 JML, so that was a bit of a disadvantage. He is missing some of the conquest characters at relics, so his account's massive, 11 point some million, 0.3 or something. So he doesn't have like a super great seer. He doesn't have a seer team, Tuscan team. He doesn't have like Kiadi Moody armor at relics. So he's missing a lot of notable things that would have been really good. He, of course, we didn't have Queen Amidala at the time. And when I scouted this was the first week of 3v3 Grand Arena, and also there's a bunch of new datacrons. So the data that was available is pretty low, and I had to make a lot of assumptions. So let's jump into his opponent and see what he specifically had and how I was able to make a plan off of like old data and just doing the best I can. So here is his opponent, Lord San Tekka. So Egnards did have the advantage here as far as the size. So they did have the same amount. They have all the GLs. I think Egnards has better overall relics on his GLs, but it wasn't too big of a deal. Oops. And I want to say he had all the GL. Maybe he's missing something. So let's look at the ships. I think we had a slight advantage in ships. So we did have the Scythe. And then he's missing the Leviathan. So Egnards had the advantage with ships. So that was pretty notable for me. So when I went into Lord Santeco's GAC, there wasn't a lot of data on available. And again, like all this is old. I was able to see his offense here, but not that much. So I went through, and what I did was I checked all his 3v3 rounds, and I saw this one, and I was like, okay, this one is going to give me a good amount of data because it was 2 rounds that was played from completion from offense to defense. So first thing I did was I looked at his defense. I saw, okay, he had Bam, Leia, Rey, Malgus, Iden, Leia, Jabba, Lord Vader, a Crap Cat Bane team, Third Sister, Fin Zori, Sana Saros, Bosk, Qui-Gon, Chief Chirpa, Lando, and then he put down not a tough. He like cheesed his fleet, so he goes with Malevolence, Radis, and Negotiator here. So that gave me an idea of kind of what he put on defense. I did saw that he engaged in Datacrons, so I thought it would be fair that he would have a Riva Cron. He would probably have an SOKR Cron, maybe a Padme Cron for JMK. So I had a plan for if he got those Crons and he put it on defense, what would I go towards beating them. So not only did I have to take what old data is available out there, I have to take in consideration of what new datacrons and new defensive teams that I may be seeing on 3v3 and plan for those just in case they do put those on defense. And then for offense, I looked and see like what was he struggling with. So he Profunity's Executor, he executed this this Negotiator, and then he Chimera this Radis. So he goes with Chimera, Executor, Profundity. which means he has an answer for the FU fleets. I still wanted more data for here because this one he won really cleanly, so it didn't give me a lot of options as far as like, okay, what did go wrong, what went wrong here. So I looked at his, since I kind of have an idea of his defense, I wanted to dive into his offense and see like what did he struggle with. Like, so Qui-Gon was something he struggled with before. Let's see. Somehow he lost to a garbage Mon Mothma. That's a weird one. And then he struggled against Ray with Raycron. So Ray with Raycron, that's an important one. Everything else here wasn't too important as far as what I saw. Yeah, so see Ray with Ray here. So what this means to me is, since multiple times he's tried to beat Ray and he lost, that means 100% I would want to put Ray on defense, which isn't like a, you know, that big of a deal here, but something to think about. And then he struggles against resistance in general, and then he struggled with triple attacker here. So I'm seeing some cracks here. So let's dive more into his 3v3 of what he struggles with. So again, Ray, Star Killer somehow. All right, let's go through. And then, yep, some more Ray struggling. All right, so now Ray, triple attacker, executor is what is some weaknesses here that we saw. Okay, so overall, that's what I saw in the data as far as what he was having a weakness for. I do remember seeing he struggled with some other stuff, but that was my plan. So when I went through and I started planning my defense after I looked at like, okay, what's his defense? What do I need to beat? And to beat cleanly, as far as to, because this is an efficiency meta. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to find efficiency wise to beat him? So I looked at his defense. I saw what he struggled with. The most notable things was Ray. So he struggled with Ray, and then he struggled against a triple attacker executor. So we did have the advantage in fleets. So I decided I was going to put down the 3 GL fleets on defense because he cheeses his fleets. I don't need him on offense. So this is what I saw that he put on. And there's enough flexibility here that I felt that what I put on, or what I'm going to take on offense and what he puts on defense, I'm going to have an answer for. So in some notable things, I brought SLKR on offense with an SLKR cron. I'm taking JMK, JML, and Leia. And that's going to give me the height to beat whatever I saw on defense, because I made a plan here and it didn't seem too hard. And what he did put on defense ended up being harder than this. But since I brought so many things on offense, I was able to have that flexibility. And then my overall plan here was to beat this player through efficiency, full clear everything, and then I'm gonna just leave opportunities on the defense so that I can win. I can get them to drop a few battles so that I can win through efficiency is what my goal was. So I ended up going Seer Malicos ninth sister on the top. This, like, their Seer and their Malicos was not fully built. I would normally take it on offense, but I just need teams that are gonna look like they'll struggle. When I scouted this player, they normally attack the top and then the bottom and then the back, and then they go through fleets. So I wanted to put a decent enough things on the top where they would feel like they would have to overkill it, and then same thing on the bottom, that like decent teams that they'll want to overkill, because if they go with something less than a really good team, then the possibility is for them to drop. So Chieftain, Warrior, Raider, that's a strong team, even though like these top two teams weren't Relic. Bo-Katan, Paz, IG-12, like Egnards didn't have Bo-Katan, but he had a Relic, Bo-Katan Kryze, Paz Vizsla, and IG-12, and that's still a really strong team. It has a lot of survivability. It's more of a timeout than anything, but it's still good. So Egnards did have GG stop at Relic 1 and Magna without the Omicron. Same thing. I just want to put something there that he would be scared to take on. And then Talzin Marin Zombie. So this still has a really good chance of beating Wampa. It's like it's not a guaranteed Wampa can beat these bottom teams either. So I'm just trying to create teams that are like and because like Stop wasn't fully invested in, Bo-Katan Mandalore wasn't invested in, even the Chieftain Warrior Raider wasn't fully invested in, and the Sir Malicos 9th team isn't fully invested in, but they're good enough teams that they're going to stretch his roster because you can't just take absolute garbage against it and beat it. And then Talzin Marin Zombie, that's still a good team. It's better on defense than Talzin Marin Daka or Talzin Marin Asajj because Wampa can beat that a lot more reliably. And then on the bottom, I went Lord Vader Maul. I left it up to him on what he wanted to put as the third. I probably would have put Thrawn, but you can go with like a tank if you want. As long as Maul's in there, I would have probably preferred Thrawn, but you know, whatever he wanted. And then Rex 5s. So Rex 5s is a really strong team in 3s, and it's just a pretty premier defense, and it takes something really good to beat. Ray Holdo, and then of course with Ben, Gas Echo Arc. This is a little older, but it's still decent if you have a decent cron with it. Fin Zori. And again, like this is just stretching the roster. Nothing here is going to get beat with super crazy cheap. And I'm just trying to stretch it. And then my plan was here in the back to have Jabba and Jar Jar as the premier defenses, like Qui-Gon, Anakin, Ki-Adi-Mundi. You can take that apart with pretty much like garbage stuff. Iden Scout, not a big deal. And Chirpa Nisa Wicket, same thing. There's a lot that beats it, but I'm just trying to stretch the roster, put teams that are okay, and then build opportunities for them to drop. And then Jar Jar, he has like R9 Jar Jar, so that's a good defense right there. And then Jabba is a good defense. So I'm trying to either get a hold with Jabba and Jar Jar, or them run out of teams here if they didn't bring enough for the back. So, and then ships, Executor, Profundity, Leviathan, just putting as many opportunities as I can to get holds on the back with because the fronts I didn't think were going to get holds. I thought he would just beat them pretty cleanly but take expensive stuff, and then I was hoping he wouldn't have an answer for Jar Jar or Jabba on the back, or he would have to two-shot Qui-Gon. And then I'm hoping to get at least a hold that somewhere where he makes a mistake on ships. So let's see how, and that was my scouting plan. I didn't have much. Let's see how it actually went on offense and defense as far as the results of how we planned this out and how it went. So let's go bring Egnard's account over here. Go to his GAC history, 3v3, round 3. All right, so this was the overall result. So kind of what I was hoping for happened. I was expecting, I didn't know what his defense was. I saw that he changed it sometimes, and then we got new Datacrons, so it was going to be a whole new thing. So let's go on his offense because that's what we did first. So he did put Third Sister down with Third Sister Kron, which wasn't really surprising. I figured that would happen, that he would farm a Third Sister Kron. I did end up getting, I did predict that I would probably need Malgus for this, so I just went Malgus, Malik, Darth Revan, and it's pretty reliable. I think they all survived. We lost our protection, but pretty clean. And then Rey Ben Holdo, since we have Rey on defense, I decided to just Darth Bane this. He has an R8 Sith Assassin, so it worked well, really clean. 54 banners. Iden, we just went with Radis. That's a super reliable kill. And then Rex 5. So Rex 5s is a premier defense. So we went with Jedi Knight Luke, Cal Kestis, Jedi Knight Revan to beat it. That went pretty clean. And then for Padmecron, so Padmecron is actually pretty strong here. So we went with Treya. This was the only thing where I felt like it has the possibility with the health percent damage with courage to kind of like blow through these guys. I was hoping Set would survive because Set is pretty much like very low health, high protection. But he just got like one pieced by Shock T. Jabba, he had a decent Jabba. We just Kylo Ren'd it. He didn't have an SLKR cron. So, and Egnards was kind of running out of crons because it was the first week. So Lord Vader, we ended up doing Leia. Normally I would have just JML'd this, but his JML wasn't as built as his Leia. So this was pretty much like the premier team at the time. So just went with Leia, beat it really easy. So, and at this point we're just doing overkills because I took a lot on, I took enough where if they would have put the, and as you can saw, like before where, let's see, like this Padme team, Rex. So a lot of this stuff was just absolute garbage filler. He took out his garbage filler and put in more premier teams. Maybe because he saw that Egnards was a turtle, and so he didn't want to give him free wins because he would have to like, it was going to be who can take out the most, not really like full clear to full clear. But we changed the plan on him, so I did bring enough to that I was able to start to cleanly beat all these. So we went JMK against Finn Zori, and then just JML against Qui-Gon. And at this point, it was like, I would say after this Lord Vader went down, it was all just like smooth sailing. So Sidious against Bounty Hunters, Third Sister against CLS, C against BAM, CLS against Mon Mothma, Dr. Aphra against Rey, and then Star Killer against the Ewoks. And this is super clean as far as everything. Really good banners. We got 2055. What I thought he was going to bring on fleets ended up happening. So he brought the Radis, Negotiator, and Malevolence. So we were able to split up the Empire fleets to go with Executrix for Radis. We went Chimera against the Negotiator, which got a little dicey. I'm not gonna lie. The TIE Defender ended up dying, so that was it's still fine. We still got it. This was like the most risky thing, I guess, but just because the TIE Defender died. But we still cleanly got the win. And then we went Negotiator against Malevolence, and that was a super easy win. So what I planned on offense, I brought enough that I knew I could take out whatever that I could kill, and I try to put a plan on defense to kind of like stump them. And then let's see what happened over here with the defense. All right, so we had he banned Rey, which is kind of what it wasn't a surprise. I did see that he had Bane, and that was probably going to be what was going to happen, but that was fine. I was planning on the front walls getting beat pretty cleanly. So Rey, and then Lord Vader, I did put him on defense. He did Thrawn. He just JMK'd it. All right, so he's Sidious, the Fin Zori. He lost Rex 5s against Starkiller, so that was a great, and that's what I was saying, like this is a really strong team if you don't take the right things for it. And then Gas got beat cleanly by C. It just happens. All right, so we took Malgus to beat this. Yep. And then even if you take Jabba, you leave him on defense, it still cleans some banners from an SOKR, which is totally fine. Iden was just there as filler. Qui-Gon got beat pretty cleanly by that, which is fine. Wampa, that okay. Night Sisters got gassed. And then this was I thought this had the potential to hold, but I guess he like, even Aphra, which is a good team, it died to Paz Vizsla and Grogu. So this is a strong, like Grogu and Paz were strong enough to take out an Aphra. So I was pretty happy with that, to be completely honest. Just opportunities. And this is what I was saying. I was putting teams that on offense, like I wouldn't take Bo-Katan, IG, Paz because they're more of a timeout threat. But on defense, like you can't just like ignore it. So okay, so they took Darth Revan against Seer, which is fair. like Terran Malicos and Seer didn't have their Omicrons, so Dash Han Chewy cleaned this up. Radis against these, and it's a low gear, so not too surprising there. Leia against the Grungans. I was, this is really expensive, so it did its job. I was hoping to get a hold here, but it got cleanly beaten, and then he was able to JML Grievous, and then on ships he was able to beat the Leviathan, which I did put the variation that's stronger against Chimera, but sometimes it just loses, which is fine. And then as I saw, he had trouble with the triple attacker with his profundity, and that was his go-to, and we got the hold, and it was super clean. He quit, and then we were able to win from there. So we had won off efficiency based on that bottom front wall, but we really won, like just solidified everything because he couldn't even get the full clear. So overall, like at endgame, that's what you do. You look at their defense, you see what they're probably going to place. You bring, if it's a new week and we don't know, you bring in some things that can heavily beat whatever it is that's the new meta, and you just have to guess, right? I didn't know what could beat Riva. I didn't know if he put SOKR down with the SOK Archron, what can win. I didn't know if he was going to put like JMK Padme down, or if he's going to split them. So those were like a lot of question marks. So I had to just like take my best guess and try to bring teams that I thought can beat them, and then put down a solid defense that's going to give you some opportunities to hold. And then I do like really strong fleets, and then taking the off meta counters to clear whatever they have left to give me opportunities to win. And that's how I did it. That's scouting at endgame. If you have like all the GLs, all the GL ships, this gives you the opportunity to win. But it's up to you on putting in the effort. Like, it did take time, it did take effort, but if you want to win, if you want to be better at this game, then scouting and creating a plan every time is the best. If not, then you just have to do the best you can. But if you do anything different, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching and take care.